Good evening. Welcome to the regular meeting of Villa Park City Council. It's hot out there, so let's get it as fast as possible to get it done. I hereby call the meeting to order. Steve, will you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Miles,
Present.
Councilwoman Jones,
Here.
Councilman McBride,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Frackleton,
Here.
Mayor Wu.
Here. Today I will ask Boy Scout Chad to come up and lead us to Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Villa Park City Council and staff welcome you to this meeting, and we encourage your participation. If you wish to address the City Council, please complete and submit a speaker card to the City Clerk. Speaker cards can be found at the entrance to the City Council chambers. Speakers will be called up individually during the public comment section of the meeting or during the item they wish to speak on. If you are attending via Zoom and wish to speak, please unmute yourself when you are called on during the public comment section. Once the public comment period has concluded for an item, no additional speakers will be taken. Speakers will be limited to a time period of 5 minutes. Speakers will also be able to submit comments in writing by 3 p.m. today. Those comments will be placed in the official record. We will begin the meeting with, report with Boy Scout Troop 850.
Good afternoon, Mayor Wu. Good afternoon, City Council. Thank you for having us here. So I'm Alan. I'm the SPO from Troop 850. I've been the SPO for about 2 months now. And as you may know, Troop 850, we're based out of Villa Park. We meet here at Sarah Villa every Tuesday at 7:30. And right now we're composed of 46 active scouts. Next slide. So first things first, this was pretty big. As of August 12th, we had our 143rd Eagle Scout in Korean. So that was really nice to see. He's such a great guy, and we have a lot more older guys, me included, to get that eagle. So what are we up to, right? So in April, we had Camp Marie, and that's basically when all the troops in the district, we come together and we compete in like really fun Boy Scout games. There's some pictures there, and it was a blast. And it was even more a blast because we were really good. It was really successful. It's the most successful Camp Marie competition that we've had, at least ever since I've been in the troop, and I've been in the troop for about 5 years now. We swept top patrol overall, which was really cool. And our former SPL, Daniel, he got a really nice trophy, and we got our troop name, Troop 850 Villa Park, engraved into that trophy, which was really nice to see. So, the question is, what are we going to be up to? This past summer, we just went to Catalina, had our summer camp there, and then now, we're gonna have Banana University. There's a lot of questions right now. So I'm gonna have Ian, my ASPL, give more info about this. He actually won top banana this past banana, so that's all you, Ian.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ian. And yeah, so Banana University is the troop's annual leadership seminar that we hold every September. And it's just the troop's way of teaching the younger scouts and the upcoming leadership in the troop how to become effective leaders and how to improve their leadership skills throughout their life. And what really makes Banana University really special is that it's heavily focused on peer-to-peer learning. So a lot of the scouts teach the other scouts. So 90% of the time, it's the older scouts teaching younger scouts how to become really good leaders and fun leaders within the troop. And the younger scouts have a lot of fun, and they take notes in their Banana University notebook, which has everything you would want and need to know about leadership for life in general. And in Troop 850 style, we have candy prizes, mystery prizes, and banana eating competitions. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and we really look forward to it. Thank you.
Yeah, so Ian explained that very well. So I want to say thank you to my Villa Park City Council. I look forward to working with you guys and the opportunities that you give us as a troop over this next year. Yeah, so thank you, Mr. Wu. Thank you, Villa Park City Council.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Could you please tell me what the acronyms are? So SBO, and then Ian had some other acronym.
Yeah, so I'm SPO, so that means
Go,
Senior
go,
Patrol Leader.
go to the, just so people listening will be able to
Yes.
hear.
So I'm the SPL, so that means Senior Patrol Leader, and in Boy Scouts, that's usually the highest patrol leader in scouting. So I'm basically organizing and leading troop activities. And then Ian is my ASPL, which means Assistant Senior Patrol Leader. So he does all my dirty work. No, I'm just kidding. He's just a really nice assistant, and I'm glad to have him with me too.
Awesome, thank you.
You good?
Any other
Well done.
council?
Can I make a comment?
Yep, please.
A lot of people ask me who was responsible for hanging up the bunting for our America's 250, and the answer is it's these guys. Troop 850 are the ones who did it. So thank you very, very much.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here, and that was a great presentation. I hope you guys will put this on your calendar for Halloween Fest. Will be October 30th, and we will hope to get you guys out and do honor guard.
For sure, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, Mr.
Awesome. And I believe you are doing your Eagle Scout project.
I'm getting that approved right now. But what I plan on doing is I plan on building some birdhouses for my local library, so that I go to all the time.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I was trying to ask whether you can do something for Villa Park, but sounds like
Oh well,
maybe
it's
your
not approved
assistant
yet.
can do something for Villa Park. If I could ask all the scout and also your scout leader to come up and take a photo with us, would that be all right?
Yeah, let's go, guys.
Thank you for that wonderful presentation from Boy Scout. The next presentation will be our librarian.
Thank you for having me. For those of you who may not know me yet, my name is Megan Ralston Munger. I'm the branch manager of the Villa Park Library right next door. I appreciate having this time to just explain to everybody what the library will be up to for the next couple of months and the programs that we'll be offering for the community for September and October. First, I want to thank everybody in Villa Park for a great summer at the library. We had wonderful attendance at all of our programs, and I had a ton of fun. This is my first summer here, getting to know the community a little better. Specifically, we'd like to thank the Friends of the Library and their support in hiring Michael Rayner, comedic juggler, which was a great program. And I have some other pictures here. We have Miss Alexia showing off a craft program, the Rainbow in a Jar. Another craft program, we had our pressed flower bookmarks was very well attended, and you can see Miss Olivia rocking out at our karaoke party. And the pièce de résistance was our end of summer party, family fun day. Again, thank you to the Friends of the Villa Park Library for funding Artovator, a face painter, for the event. It was a ton of fun. All right, moving on. As we go into the fall, our summer reading challenge is over, but we do have another reading challenge right around the corner, the ever popular In and Out Cover to Cover reading challenge. This reading challenge is for kids ages 4 to 12. They can read 5 books or 300 minutes to earn a free hamburger or cheeseburger at In and Out. Kids can earn up to 3 free burgers during this program. which will start on Saturday, October 3rd, and run until Saturday, November 14th. So make sure to pick up your reading logs at the library starting on October 3rd. All right, moving forward, we are offering some new recurring programs at the library each month, so I wanted to explain all of those. We'll continue to have our baby and toddler story time on Tuesdays at 10:30 a.m., and we have a brand new monthly program for kids ages 0 to 5 called Music and Movement. It's going to be on September 19th, Saturday, September 19th at 11 a.m., and Saturday, October 10th at 11 a.m. this go round, and it will continue to reoccur one Saturday a month. That'll be with me. Kids can come and do some music and movement and dancing and get their wiggles out. It's going to be a ton of fun. For our older kids, ages 7 and up, we have a program just for children and tweens, and that's going to be our Wednesday workshop where kids will have a different hands-on activity once a month on the third Wednesday of the month at 4 o'clock. In September, they'll be experimenting with ice balloons, and in October, they'll be making watercolor doodle art. Just for teens, we have a Spooky Stickers program on Saturday, October 17th, where they can make their own DIY stickers. And for adults, we'll continue to have our book chat. That's going to be once a month, Monday, September 14th coming up. We'll be discussing Nothing to See Here by Kevin Wilson. And in October, on Monday, October 5th, at 10:45 a.m., we'll be reading Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. And then for all ages, we're continuing our all ages or family story times, which are pajama story time on Mondays at 6 p.m. And we have a once a month bilingual Spanish story time, which is on the first Thursday of the month now at 10:30 a.m. We also have a special monthly recurring program coming up for all ages. This is going to be our Crafty Hands program on the second Wednesday of each month. In September, they'll be making piñatas and folklorico dancer crafts. And in October, they'll be making haunted houses with popsicle sticks. And then we have two more special all-ages programs. This is it. I promise. I know it's been a lot. In September, on September 26th, we'll have another family cooking class. We'll be making guacamole and 2 different kinds of salsa to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. And then on Thursday, October 29th, we'll be having our second annual Spookyville celebration with karaoke, crafts, and a costume parade. All right. That's all from me. Of course, I have our contact information up there. You can contact the library if you have any questions about what we're doing or reference questions or things that are too tough to Google too. So contact us at any time. And I know I went through all of those events very quickly, but they're all on our website. And we also have paper calendars that you can get at the service desk. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for providing so many events for our city. Next person up would be the Sheriff Department Captain, please.
I feel like I always have to follow some awesome presentations, so it's like every time. Good evening, City Council, Mr. Mayor. I have the incident summary for July 25th through August 20th, 2026. We had about 167 reported incidents, which was down significantly, but mostly because of the time period shortened and after the holidays and summer and things like that. It was pretty much down across the board. Total reports, 16 were taken, 3 crimes against persons, 3 crimes against property of society, 1 injury traffic accident, no non-injury traffic accidents, 29 moving citations, and 3 parking citations. The crimes against persons, a couple of them were domestic violence, and the third was actually another domestic type incident where the victim and suspect knew each other. Crimes against property and society, there was 1 stolen vehicle and 1 vandalism and 1 driving under the influence. That's really all I have to report. School's back in session. As a parent, I'm very happy that's happening right now. So just a reminder, for all the kids out there to be, and the parents, be safe with the e-bikes and going to school, as well as just the normal school traffic as well. The deputies have been out there trying to do as much enforcement as they can and keep people safe. Any questions?
Just wanted to know, ask if you could comment. I know that your resource officer did some training for some of our students for back to school for the e-bikes
Yeah.
at CV and Villa Park High School. So I was wondering if you could comment on that and how it was received and how many people, if you have that info.
I don't have how many people went. She said it was a success. I spoke to her briefly about it, and yeah, she was happy with the turnout, and yeah, it's a great it's a great program, and I encourage all the kids and families to try to attend it.
And we had a lot of parents that attended.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. That's always the missing part, right? Is the parents don't understand what's going on.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. That's a huge missing piece of that whole puzzle.
Okay, thank you.
Just as a quick comment, I was there at the training at Villa Park High School. We had about 150 people there. It was standing room only. It was a great event, and and I had it later on in my report. But our sincerest thanks to Deputy Vasquez for putting that on, and she brought the flyers that yourself and Councilwoman Miles and I developed, and those were all gone at the end of the night. And every student came with a parent or guardian. So there was a large, parent, maybe grandparent, population there too. Great event. And I just wanted to thank you, though, for the strong response on the first day of school. As we all know, like starting good habits at the beginning of the year was so important. So I really appreciate the number of deputies that we had out for the first day of school. It was amazing. So thank you so much for that.
Absolutely. I'll relay the message.
And personally, I want to share with you, I really appreciate SRO Vasquez. Always happy to jump in with my crazy videos. So I really appreciate. She's shy, but she's still gone
loves
through, and multiple times she actually did it one shot a lot better than I did. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Anything else?
Nope. Thank you.
Mayor, before you leave, I think the Cezelles have something they wanted to do with the sheriffs, so if you
Yeah.
got some moment.
Please.
It was a very successful 2026 National Night Out here at the Civic Center on August 4th. We want to thank Orange County Sheriff's Department deputies, their equipment, the canines, everyone who helped, the Orange County Fire Authority for their equipment and firefighters, the City of Villa Park, especially the setup team, and Steve Franks for coordination, and the Villa Park community organizations and town center merchants for participation, games, and swag. There was a large turnout this year of residents and families and many, many young children. We obtained about 6 new participants for the Villa Park Neighborhood Watch Network and several for the Do Not Solicit program. We will continue to encourage signups for both, emphasizing that the crime prevention aspect of Do Not Solicit is to eliminate unlicensed so-called solicitors who do not comply with the required registration with the city and may be participating in theft networks, notifying potential thieves of homes that appear to be unoccupied at a potential break-in site. We also distributed educational material by the FTC about scams, fraud, and internet safety for all ages. Each year, the goal of Neighborhood Watch at National Night Out is to bring community members of all ages together to celebrate the outstanding safety record of Villa Park and to thank those who make it possible, especially by promoting respect and appreciation for Orange County Sheriff's Department and law enforcement representatives among the children and the young people who attend. With that goal in mind, we encourage them at National Night Out to sign this thank you poster to show their appreciation for the dedication of our deputies in our small city. It's our privilege and pleasure to present this symbol of Villa Park's appreciation to Orange County Sheriff's Department for its dedicated and outstanding service to residents of the city of Villa Park, including messages such as, "Thanks for getting the bad guys," and other wonderful things. Thank you so much, Orange County Sheriff's Department.
Very much appreciated. Thank you. That's very much appreciated.
Would you put it in the room so the other deputies can see it?
Absolutely. We'll hang it up in the briefing room so they could all see it. Yeah.
And I have to say, we're so pleased with the reduction in crimes that we used to have many years ago. And it's because of you guys that do catch the bad guys. And we're grateful for that on behalf of all the including the e-bikes, which is a challenge. And I hope these guys all will obey the rules with riding e-bikes because you look like the cream of the crop. So we'll count on you to tell your cohorts the same thing, okay? Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next person up would be OCFA Chief.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Kyle Kuzma with Orange County Fire Authority. Since our last city council meeting on July 28th, Orange County Fire Authority was dispatched to 51 incidents within the city of Villa Park. Of those incidents, 37 were medical aid related. We had 1 hazardous condition call, and then 13 in our miscellaneous categories such as odor checks, automatic fire alarms, and unclassified calls. One of the highlights of the last month was our participation on August 4th in the Villa Park National Night Out with Engine 23 and Battalion 2 who were in attendance. Our safety message for this month is on disaster preparedness. Coming up in the next week or so, we start the month of September, which is National Disaster Preparedness Month. OCFA encourages everybody to be prepared for the unexpected. Take steps now to protect your family and home before the next earthquake, wildfire, pandemic, or other disaster. Just a few highlighted bullet points on things that you can do to prepare ahead of time. Make a family disaster plan. Choose a meeting place outside your home where you know if something happens, you're going to be able to meet with your loved ones. Choose an emergency contact, including somebody who's out of state in case there's a local emergency. There's that point of contact that you can get a hold of. If you haven't already, visit alertoc.com. You can register to receive notifications during and after an emergency. You can enroll in safety classes like the CERT program, first aid, CPR, to be prepared to help your family and your community. And then also when you're making this plan, just consider needs for any elderly, disabled family members, children, pets, anybody who might have additional needs during an emergency. Another key thing is to create an emergency supply kit. We recommend at least 3 days worth of kind of emergency supplies or a 72-hour kit, a bag that you can have for each family member with some extra clothes, just some of the necessities that you would need in case you need to be away from your home for a few days, and make sure that those kits are easily accessible. Also, you could have emergency supplies in your vehicle as well. And don't forget your pets. Preparing your home, just making sure that major appliances, heavy furniture, bookcases, things like that are secure and won't move around in an earthquake or other natural disaster. And then just planning ahead to know how to shut off your water, your gas, your electricity if you needed to in an emergency. Also, just a reminder, there is the 211 helpline. You can dial 211. And that will offer public information during disasters or local emergencies. And then you can also visit the OCFA website. It's ocfa.org. When you're on the homepage, right in the middle, there's a link that says disaster preparedness, and it will take you through a step-by-step process of how to plan. And then we have at the bottom, there's resources, different sheets of material that will kind of help walk through some of these plans. You can fill in your emergency contact info, things to gather in time of emergency and things like that. And we have those handouts in 6 different languages on our website. So please visit that website and just be prepared. Going into this winter, we're expecting a super El Nino. We could have larger than normal rain amounts. So being prepared for that as well. That's all I have.
Chief, speaking of El Nino and heavy rains, is Station 23 going to have sand and sandbags?
Yes. Yeah, Station 23 will always have the pile of sand that's accessible to all residents with sandbags as well. And we'll continually keep that stocked as it gets used. We replenish it.
It's a help yourself honor system, right?
It is a help yourself. If the crew is there and you need some assistance, they might be able to offer some assistance if they're not tied up. But usually The sand is there. We have supplies, shovel, things to help fill the bags, and you're just welcome to come up and fill your sandbags and use them wherever you need them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we will hear comments from members of the public to address any off-agenda items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council, provided that no action may be taken on off-agenda items unless authorized by law. We will also be hearing public comments on each agenda item. Steve, is there anyone that is present or wrote in from the public that would like to comment on an off-agenda item?
No, Mayor.
Now we'll move into our agendized public hearings. Our first hearing is the review to waive reading in full of all ordinances and resolutions on the agenda. I will now open the hearing. Staff, please give staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the item we have each month to allow us to run a more efficient and expeditious city council meeting, and we'd recommend approval.
City Council members, do you have any question of the staff?
Nope, so moved.
Second?
All right, let's vote.
Uh-oh.
Oh, wow, that's a quick vote.
There we go. Passes by a 5-0 vote. Thank you.
Our next hearing is variance 2026-05, 9431 Feather Hill Drive. I will now open hearing. Staff, please give the staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. This is, as you mentioned, the variance for 9431 Feather Hill Drive. This is a item that was handled by Caden Likens, our assistant planner, and we do have a public speaker that has asked to be here as well. And I do know the resident owner applicant is here as well.
Good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. Item number 2 is variance 202605 at 9431 Feather Hill Drive. The applicant is requesting approval to construct an approximately 105-foot long, 6-foot tall CMU wall and steel gate entrance along a portion of the front property line, exceeding the maximum allowable height of 3 feet 6 inches within the required front setback area. The property is located at the end of Feather Hill Drive and consists of approximately 28,965 square feet and is zoned in the single-family residential estate zone, the E4 zone. The property has an irregular configuration and a sloped topography, with the site generally sloping from the front northeastern corner of the property to the rear southwestern corner of the property. The site is developed with a 1-story single-family residence, an attached garage, an attached 2-story ADU, and the property also contains an existing tennis court in the northwest portion of the site, and an existing swimming pool and jacuzzi in the southwestern portion of the site. As shown, the property in Exhibit G, the property recently experienced a vegetation fire at the north side of the site. Prior to the fire, mature landscaping, including dense bushes and vegetation, provided visual screening and a physical barrier between the property and the public right-of-way of Feather Hill Drive and Meats Avenue. The vegetation fire removed the existing screening and opened up the rear yard amenities, including the tennis court and pool, to greater public visibility and access. The property is currently secured by an existing chain link fence. The property is located adjacent to the city of Orange to the north, Meats Avenue to the west, and single-family residences to the east and south. As mentioned, the applicant proposes variance 202605 to replace the previous dense landscaping with a new CMU wall and steel entrance gate to provide safety, privacy, and security for the property. The wall will be approximately 105 feet long, 6 feet high, and would be located approximately 7 feet setback from the front property line. Due to the lot's topography, the proposed wall location has an approximate grade difference of 2 to 3 feet from the adjacent right-of-way along Feather Hill Drive. Therefore, although the wall will measure 6 feet in height, it'll appear shorter from the public right-of-way due to the grade difference. The applicant proposes to provide enhanced landscaping along the wall to soften its appearance along Feather Hill Drive on the front. The Villa Park Municipal Code limits wall heights in the front setback area to 3 feet 6 inches for a depth of 20 feet measured from the front property line. The proposed wall will exceed that height limit, resulting in a required variance of 2 feet 6 inches. Variances may be granted per California Government Code Section 65906. Granted when the strict application of a development standard would create a practical difficulty or due to exceptional physical characteristics applicable to the property. City staff determined that the property contains unique physical characteristics and constraints that set it apart from other properties in the vicinity in the same zoning district based on the findings in Resolution 2026-3656. The findings are summarized as follows. The property has an irregular lot shape with a shallow lot depth on the north end of the site, creating a unique buildable area for the lot. Applying the front and rear setbacks equate to 55 feet total, 30 feet on the front, 25 on the back. This creates a hardship to use that space other than yard area. That space ultimately for the property acts as a rear and side yard area for the property, and granting the variance will allow the space to properly be screened from Feather Hill Drive, similar to side and rear yards in the vicinity. The property contains exceptional and extraordinary circumstances or conditions that apply that do not generally apply to other properties in the same zone. To begin, the property is located on the north end of Feather Hill Drive. Feather Hill Drive is a cul-de-sac. The cul-de-sac has a unique characteristic as it is open for public access on both ends. The north end is open for pedestrian access, and the south end is open for both pedestrian and vehicle access. Other cul-de-sacs in the vicinity have a true cul-de-sac that is cut off by properties on one end that create kind of that roundabout turnaround area. Strict enforcement of the regulation would deprive the applicant of privileges enjoyed by other owners in the same zone. Staff determined that strict compliance with the 3 foot 6 inch wall height would limit the property's ability to provide the same level of safety, privacy, and security that can be provided to other properties that do not have these same physical constraints. Staff finds that the proposed variance will not grant a special privilege. As mentioned, the property contains unique and extraordinary characteristics that do not allow the property to enjoy the same security and privacy as other properties. And staff has determined that the proposed wall will not affect the public view, public safety, or public health in the area. In addition, the owner will be including enhanced landscaping to provide additional pleasant to the eye screening from the wall on the property. And the engineering and planning department determined that the proposed wall will not create a line of sight issue for pedestrians or vehicles along Feather Hill Drive or Meats Avenue. In addition, the proposed wall will not obstruct on the existing walkway that connects Meats Avenue to Feather Hill Drive. The proposed variance is not expected to have a significant impact on the environment per CEQA guideline section 15303 class 3 and 15304 class 4. Public hearing notices were posted and mailed to property owners. A total of 25 property owners were identified, and it was also posted in the Orange County Register and at City Hall. As preparation of the staff report, staff did not receive any public comments, although the applicant, since the final agenda was created, has provided 2 signatures of support from the residences across Feather Hill Drive. and staff has received 2 comments in relation to the variance after the final agenda packet was created, which have been shared with city council members. Based on the analysis of the proposal and the findings summarized contained in Resolution 2026-3656, staff recommends that the City Council approve variance number 2026-05 and find the project categorically exempt from CEQA per sections 15303 and 15304, and that City Council adopt Resolution 2026-3656, subject to the attached conditions of approval in the resolution. That concludes my presentation, and as Steve mentioned, the applicant as well as the homeowner are present for any questions that you guys may have. Thank you.
Council members, do you have any question of the staff?
I have a staff question.
Go ahead.
So the shaded yellow area that's on our agenda packet and happens to be on the map too, that is the encroached property that was approved last time. So his property line actually stops, his official property line, this is a question, does his official property line actually stop at the line below that? And so the yellow is all what would be considered city property?
Correct. The dashed line, which I believe is what you're referring to as the inside line,
Yeah, the inside line.
is the actual property line. The box that is to the north or to the right, if you're looking at the sheet of paper, is the shared parcel. That is a city-owned parcel that was granted in last month's public hearing for the property owner's use and maintenance of that parcel.
Okay, just for clarification, it wasn't a public hearing though, right? It was just,
Correct.
correct, yeah, so it wasn't a public hearing. But, okay, so what happens if we need to access that easement? Who's responsible if the variance gets granted and the wall gets built, and for some reason we need to access that easement again? What happens?
The owner is responsible for, at his expense, for removing everything and restoring it to current
Okay.
condition.
And the owner's aware of that?
Yes.
Okay. Does this take, does the entire encroached area, there's, does the wall take up the whole entire encroached area? Is that coming out weird?
Along the length of it or
The
the
length
width?
of it, yeah.
No, as shown, it cuts short. It's cut short in order to maintain that public right-of-way, pedestrian access from Feather Hill to Meats. You can see the square that's
The
just
empty
below.
square? Yeah.
That is part of the parcel. The access is actually outside of that. So.
Okay, so it does not, I know you mentioned it, but I just want to make sure everyone understands, it does not prohibit anybody from using that public access to get across to Meats.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
In the section that the wall goes up where that current walkway trail is, will there also be landscaping? I know he's going to do it on the front. Will there also be landscaping along that trail on the side?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it won't look like, for instance, the catwalk by Saravilla where it's a block wall. It's going to be more soft.
Correct. Staff will request a landscape plan once they go through the building permit process for a detailed specifics to that, to make sure it's screened to satisfaction.
I just wanted to clarify that the only item for the council on the variance is the wall that extends across the portion of Feather Hill Drive, and I suppose perhaps that little small segment that kicks out to the other side of the encroachment. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly. The side, the faces Meats is actually a side yard, and that can go to 6 feet with no variance. So you're correct. Good point.
Any other question for the staff? Okay, then at this point, I would like to ask this public to make the comment.
We have, and I'm going to mispronounce this, Thienan Pfeiffer, is that correct? Close? Close? All right, sorry.
Hi, good evening, Mayor, Council members. My name is Tina Pfeiffer. I live at 9502 Feather Hill. I'm in the noticing area for the agenda item subject to tonight's hearing. And I first want to just say that I'm in support of my neighbors and the activities that they want to do. I completely understand my neighbor's request for privacy and security. I was home at the time of the fire a few months ago, so I understand the need for the desire for security and privacy. And I submitted a public comment letter. I don't know if you have all received it and reviewed it. I have a little bit more of an issue with the bifurcation of the encroachment permit action and tonight's action, because I view that as one and the same. The site plan that was submitted as part of the encroachment package, which was a consent calendar item, there was no public hearing on that, is inherently tied to this variance request. Essentially, the city has granted an encroachment of approximately 2,500 square feet of area to a single private property owner. And the wall that would be erected along the frontage of Feather Hill, whether it be a 3.5-foot wall or a 6-foot wall, would essentially enclose that 2,500 square feet area for the exclusive use of one owner. And so as part of that, I think that if these kinds of activities come up in the future, I think it would be to the public's interest to have one hearing so that we can hear both the encroachment portion and the variance portion if that were to come up again. But that said, I do have some recommendations as far as the wall itself. I access this portion of Feather Hill 3 to 4 times a week to take my walks, and so I would prefer that that wall be screened. I hear that it is already going to be screened, but that it also be the color of it not appear for somebody who's walking up the street as if it is a barricade. The reason why there is, code for frontage walls of 3.5 feet is for that reason. You don't want to be walking up to a wall and have it appear like a barricade. And I fully understand that the topography will provide that setback, and so it won't appear as a 6-foot wall. It'll appear more like a 4-foot wall. But nonetheless, if it's painted the same color of the house and there's not, mature landscaping, we will be seeing a stuccoed wall. I also feel like, the city's granting of the encroachment area for the single use of a private property owner, there was mention in the staff report that this is not the granting of a special privilege. It kind of is. I mean, there is no access that the public otherwise will have to that 2,500 square feet. So I had some recommendations in my comment letter about paint colors, landscape palettes, and then I have one request that if the homeowner is granted this, what is, in my opinion, a special privilege to the exclusive use, access, and maintenance of 2,500 square feet, that he provide a small beautification project for the Feather Hill sign at the entrance of the street, and that way all residents can have some benefit. That concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you for that, and I think I will ask our city attorney to reiterate why there was not a public hearing from last month. It was just on the agenda. If you could legally explain that.
Yeah, quote, public hearing, end quote, is a defined legal term which applies to certain land use decisions and other things where you have to give certain notices and put things in the paper and wait a certain number of days before hearings. None of that's required for an encroachment permit. It was still on the agenda. We talked about it a lot, so in a common sense way, there was a public hearing. But that's the distinction as far as a public hearing. A couple other things. The discussion of whether this is a grant of special privilege, that is also a defined term under variance law, which has nothing to do with the granting of an encroachment permit. It pertains to the uniqueness of the property being walled. So that is a different thing and not a solid point on which to grant the variance because it is unique and it's not a special grant due to the nature of the property. And as to the issue of giving the property to someone, the whole point is we're saving money because we don't have to maintain it. So we win. That's the point. So.
Thank you for that detailed explanation. At this point, if I could ask the owner if you would like to speak before the council further discussion among ourselves. You don't have to if you choose not to. Okay, go ahead.
Mayor, thank you. City Council. So this whole project is really about restoration because the fire damage was pretty devastating, and we just want to have our privacy and security back. And the way we look at it is that since we're going to do it, we're going to do it in a way that it's efficient, quick, and also has the possibility to enhance the area too. So, and just given that what Steve and Todd said, that in that area we certainly would take up the maintenance of that particular areas to put down like pavements and then to provide lighting and camera views and everything. So there is certain value added to this restoration for the community, for the neighborhood as well. So that, because in that particular area, there's no lighting, there's no surveillance. We had, homeless issues. We had, loitering issues, and the fact that there's a fire was because of the loitering, right? So, but with the enhancement, with building the perimeter, and also with the lighting and everything included, and also the beautification with the landscaping around, in front of the wall, it will just make it more pleasant and more enjoyable and safer for the whole neighborhood. So that's how I see it. So, and certainly we appreciate all the support and help and from everybody, from the city, from the neighborhood as well. So.
Thank you for your comments. If you could state your name for the record.
Oh yes, my name is Shen Jiang, and I'm the resident at the property. So.
Thank you. Stay right here for just 1 second in case council have any specific question for you, okay?
Yes.
Okay, I was wrong.
Okay,
Hey,
all right,
you,
great. All right,
please
thank
take
you,
a
Mayor.
seat.
Thank you.
I thought you were moving.
What
Sorry.
did you think about that?
It just, from my peripheral, I thought you itchy to say something. But anyhow, moving right along, have any other discussion for this?
I do have other discussion. I just
Okay.
didn't have any for.
No problem,
Mr.
no
Jay.
problem. Go ahead.
I wanna say I appreciate the public comment by Ms. Pfeiffer. I absolutely I had a little bit of a personal issue with it not being a public hearing. It felt weird, although the city attorney has definitely clarified that it didn't have to be. But I would have liked it to be more of an action item thing. I agree with you, but again, it's perfectly acceptable the way it is. And as far as Mr. Zhang, I really appreciate the time that you spent with me and going over everything. I also see that this is an opportunity for the residents up there in that end to have a little bit more of a, as you pointed out, a surveillance. I don't know if I'd like that word, but it's more of, this will definitely help potentially alleviate any of some potential future issues that might occur, especially with like fireworks, because you will have lighting and cameras. Now the cameras will be pointed at your property, right? We're not pointing cameras out to the world of your neighbors, but at least that way there will be some sort of ability to help identify if there's an issue. So I know it's probably an extremely expensive project, and I know you're working really hard to try and make it presentable and look nice. So you and I had a conversation, and I know you couldn't get a hold of your neighbor just, what would that be, south of you? But you left a note, so I appreciate that. Not required, my own little personal whatever. But maybe perhaps you could get with Miss Pfeiffer also just to, clear up some things. So that's it, but I appreciate both of you. That's it.
Woman?
Yes, I just wanted to address the issue of the landscaping and the beautification, because that was part of my concern when I initially saw the project. And so, as you see on Exhibit A on this proposal, the landscaping is very much a condition of these improvements. And we were provided a photo, I don't know if you can see it from where you are, and I don't think this was attached to the staff report, right, Kaden, because we received it afterwards. But it looks very much like the whole purpose is to screen the wall from the public right-of-way, so that this will be a very pleasant-looking addition to really, quite frankly, what is now just kind of a tangle of, half burned at this point, landscaping. So it really does look as if it's an improvement, and I hope our speaker also got her concerns addressed as far as why we had to separate this out the way we did. Because council doesn't always get a choice on whether we can bundle something together, and we have to hear these items separately and have some distance between them sometimes as well. So I hope Todd's words were a point of clarification on that, because our hands are kind of tied in that regard. So just to clarify that, thank you.
Any further discussions? Can I hear any entertaining motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Okay, that's a vote. All right, moving on. Our next hearing is the first reading of Ordinance 2026-640. I will now open the hearing. Staff, please to give the staff report.
Thank you. This item was brought forward by Councilwoman Jones and Councilwoman Miles. In addition, we had received some recommended actions from our insurance agency, basically California Joint Powers Insurance Agency. And so we have, I will defer to them as far as the specific changes content-wise, but the insurance agent had recommended some changes be made because they've experienced multiple issues legally, and they wanted to clarify with the ordinance, and provided a copy to the sheriff, and we discussed this at LEAC as well. So I would defer to the council people and let them address the specific changes that they've made.
Okay, would you?
Yeah, so I'll start, and Councilwoman Miles can chime in. So we did discuss a change during our Law Enforcement Advisory Committee meeting based on an ordinance that the City of Tustin had passed. But then when I brought that to Councilwoman Miles and brought that to city staff, it came to our attention that our insurer also had required a great many changes to our e-bike ordinance, mostly bringing it into line with state law and California Vehicle Code, and kind of defaulting to California Vehicle Code definitions for a lot of things within our ordinance. So I would like to point out for those at home and to council, a couple of the changes that were done by our insurer, which is, I feel that parents should really note this section on parental responsibility for their child's behavior. And that was suggested to us by our insurer, but it's something that the Orange County District Attorney is also pursuing. So parents should really pay attention to that section. And parents should also note the prohibition on anyone under 16 from operating a Class 3 e-bike. Now, this has been state law since July 2025, and as part of our outreach through the Orange County Sheriff's Department, we have been getting that word out, but now that wording is specifically in our ordinance. Councilwoman Miles and I added the following sections. We added a prohibition on riding any modified e-bike or e-scooter in the city of Villa Park. So no modified bike or e-scooter can be ridden at any time within the city. And then under section 5-7.9, we added that no person operating a bicycle, electric bicycle, or motorized scooter shall allow more persons at one time than the number for which the bicycle, electric bicycle, or motorized scooter is designed and equipped. So the vast majority of e-bikes are not designed for 2 riders. And we see a lot of kids out on the street to an e-bike. So it's a serious safety issue to be carrying riders when the vehicle or e-bike is not designed for it. So we have a specific prohibition that we have added into our ordinance addressing that as well. So Councilwoman Miles, is there anything you'd like to add?
You've succinctly addressed all of it. I think, again, we, at the time, you were mayor, right? Mayor Jones? Time is going way too fast. And I
Before that, yeah.
Yeah.
2024.
Anyway, so Councilwoman Jones and I did this e-bike, and so it set a really good foundation. It was also part of the recommendation based on the grand jury report, and it gave a really good foundation about speed limits, helmets, riders, sidewalks, et cetera. And as Councilwoman Jones mentioned, our insurance company, and then also, fortunately, a lot of discussion and action by the state now and other cities. And so Councilwoman Jones's assessment of all the changes is absolutely accurate. It's important. I appreciate LEAC bringing this up again and us really doing this as a safety, especially since we have so many stories of different unfortunate accidents, either here in our city or in Brea, or there's been some in Orange and Tustin. So it's really important. The one thing for me specifically, and this is to the sheriffs, is when we sat down and talked about this, it's that dual rider. Because there are dual rider e-bikes, but they are for 2 people, and it's clear that they're for 2 people. So I think this gives the sheriff a tool to absolutely, when you see these kids on, they are not 2-rider capable bikes. So this is a tool for you guys to absolutely crack down on that, because that is, to me, some of the most dangerous displays of riding, because they don't, they usually don't have shoes on, and they're doing their hands and stuff. So obviously you guys are doing a great job, but this should help enforce and be another tool in your toolbox to actually strictly modify. And the part about parents are going to have to step up and be more accountable. That's something that we've agreed on as well. So, and that's it. So appreciate all the work done by everybody.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the sheriff, LEAC, Councilman Miles, revisiting this, because I really do feel that as a city, we have a responsibility not just to pass an ordinance and just leave it out there in the ether. And so I really appreciate the council coming back to this and revisiting this important issue, and realizing that sometimes it does need some modification and change, and kind of adapting with the times. So it will take any questions, and staff, I'm sure, will take questions from council.
Just for a point of clarification, this is the first reading, so there'll be the actual adoption is September 22nd. By ordinance, you have to have 2 readings of it. So this would be the first, but obviously, if anyone has input or changes, this is the time to make them. But we are moving forward with your direction tonight.
Okay, council member, any other questions?
Not a question, more just I want to commend and thank Councilwoman Miles, Councilwoman Jones for taking the lead on this issue. I got to think that more than fireworks, more than almost any other safety issue in the city, this is probably the #1 concern that we have, because we want our young people to be safe, and the older people who are walking on the sidewalks next to them or driving their cars. And so thank you for doing this, and I trust that you guys did all the right things, so I have no changes to it, and looks great.
Okay, go ahead.
So again, thank you guys. You guys put an amazing amount of effort into it, and so that's very well received. I wanted to ask a question and also a comment. There's now a case against a parent in Fullerton, so they're taking it seriously, and I think our parents should be well warned that this is not going to be lightly regarded. However, I just need to clear up what the actual penalties would be. I understand and read about the impounding the vehicle, but I didn't see anything about whether misdemeanor or fines or other types of actual penalties. So that was my question.
So that was a section that was added by our insurer. That was not Councilwoman Miles and I. So Steve, would you like to jump in on that?
So it's in the Muni Code, so unless it's designated an infraction, it's a misdemeanor. So it's a misdemeanor. The maximum fine is up to $1,000 and 6 months in prison per violation. Now, in reality, when I'm in front of a judge, you know, you balance the equities. I don't want to throw a 12-year-old in prison for 6 months, but that is the maximum potential fine.
Again, this also includes the parent, I think, as this, but parent shall be equally liable and responsible. So the parent could be held responsible.
And so would it go before a juvenile court then for a minor?
So most of the time, yeah, they get designated through Lamoureux in Orange, which is the juvenile court system, and then most of those, frankly, get put in the CASA program, which is a mentoring thing where they try to set people straight. So that, in reality, is usually what happens. Yeah.
Full disclosure, I did community service for riding a motorcycle.
Did it work?
I didn't get caught after that.
Okay, we are being recorded.
All right. Is there anyone here to, is there anyone here to speak at this hearing?
No.
Okay, then public comment is closed. Thank you, Council. Is there any other discussion regarding this item?
I'd like to move the item.
I'll second.
Thank you. Let's vote.
Passes by 5-0 vote. Thank you.
All right. The agenda item number 4 to 6. Now we will consider our consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are considered routine and are usually enacted by one motion approving the recommended action listed on the agenda. Any member of the City Council, staff, or the public may request an item be removed from the consent calendar for discussion or separate action. Council members, are there any items from number 4 to 6 that you would like to remove on the consent calendar? Okay, very good. Then, can I have a motion to vote?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, let's vote.
Passes by 5-0 vote. Thank you.
Our first item of new business is the approval to schedule a special meeting of the Villa Park City Council to City Council members. Staff, please give staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. This is on June 23rd. The City Council adopted resolution setting the municipal election for November 3rd. The nomination period closed on August 7th. There were 3 candidates for 3 open seats. So on August 19th, the City Council took action to appoint 3 qualified candidates. So there will be no election, and they canceled the election at that time. So we set, as you recall, we already just did, set the agenda for our calendared meetings for next year. We did not have a special meeting because at the time we set the meeting last year, the registrar of voters had not determined when the actual count would be certified. So we didn't know exactly, and we didn't want to set up a meeting. At this time, the registrar of voters has indicated they will certify the election results from the November election on or before December 3rd. So accordingly, we've said December 3rd would be a special meeting of the council to set the new council members in their term and take their oaths of office. However, since it was not previously set as a council meeting, we have to call for a special meeting. So tonight would be the action to call for the special meeting, which would be at 6 p.m. on December 3rd, 2026, which would coincide with the county certifying the election.
Quick question, can both of us be in this topic, or vote or discuss?
So this is just the setting of the special meeting. So yes, you can participate. Good question, though.
All right, just want to make sure both of us are legally correct. All right, so then move on. Council members, any question for the staff? Okay, Steve, is there anyone who is present or wrote in from the public that would like to comment on this item?
No.
Okay, then can I entertain the motion?
Move to approve.
Do I hear a second? Thank you. Let's vote.
Passes by a 5-0 vote. Thank you.
Can I ask a quick question? Do I show up to that meeting?
Yes.
Since I'm
You typically, that's been the case.
Okay.
There'll be no action of the prior council, except obviously an opportunity if you want to make a final comment or something along those, and that's typically what it's been used for.
Okay.
But there's no action because you have already pre-certified, if you will. So that action is taken off the agenda for that meeting. So it'll be just a presence, sort of ceremonial, if you will.
Okay. Just want to make
You know, and for your information, Mayor, if I may, I mean, the elections code actually doesn't say when you have to do the swearing in of appointed people. So we just picked the date we usually would do it, which was when the vote was certified. That's why we picked that date. So just to be consistent.
Just want to make sure if I'm supposed to be here or not.
No problem. That's a great question, but at least we know now. Okay, our next item of new business is the second amendment to the professional services agreement with MAH Engineering, Inc. for traffic engineering services. Staff, please give the staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. This item is our, as you aware, we contract for a specific certified traffic engineer who helps us, who has to certify our speed study, which the sheriff uses for aligning any citations. But we have contracted out for that since 2023, but it started in 2024. In the last 30 months, we've probably spent 18,000 or just around 18,000 rounding. And so what we are doing, that contract was for 20,000. So what we're doing is extending the contract for another 24 months and adding 20,000 on top of that. So it's just the incremental delta that we're approving tonight is 20,000. So having a discussion, if we were to extrapolate our current level expenditures, we would be about 14,750. So as a buffer, there's 5,250 that we've set, 5,250 that we have sort of as a buffer, if you will. So the contract does not, it is not, in totality, it's 40,000 because that's carry forward of the 20 plus the additional 20. And then, so you know, the actual rate of our traffic engineer is actually about $15 an hour less than our current city engineer. So it is more efficient to do it that way, and that's one of the reasons we'll do it, recommending it. Again, this is a maximum obligation, only to be spent if we do need to do it. Projects that would include something like we've talked about in the past, the council, what do you call it, not exterior, but a rear access to Serrano Elementary, and some of those things that would require the speed study and things like that, that we'd use them for. But again, it's an as-needed basis, so if we don't need it, we won't spend a penny. But we would allow us to move forward on it if it does come up. So I'd recommend approval.
Okay, council member, do you have any question of staff?
Just to reiterate, so this is important because if having a traffic engineer certified, can you go over how that protects us from any liability, and then also how they partner with our sheriffs and law enforcement?
That's probably the one thing that is important, that the California Vehicle Code says a certified traffic engineer must sign the speed study. However, that's been contested in court, I guess, so I can't answer how the court will deal with that. But it does say in the California Vehicle Code that that's required. That being said, it does also, if you have a certified traffic engineer looking at stop signs and placement of, crosswalk or whatever the case may be, it provides you an extra level of security, if you will, to the extent that a professional who's trained in that area has to do it. Now, that's not to say that a licensed civil engineer can't sign some of those other things. However, it does give you a little bit of extra security in that regard from a liability perspective from the city. And Todd can answer the question about, may you go into more detail if he wants.
The cities can be sued for dangerous conditions of public property. The primary defense in such situations is something called design immunity. You get design immunity if you have a certified professional approved plans to legal standards. So if somebody says that curve on that street was a dangerous condition, that's why I was in a crash and broke my arm, we can just submit certified signed plans by a professional, say they met the standard, and then we can get out on summary judgment. So that's the benefit from a legal perspective. As to traffic studies, I mean, that's what the law says. We can't enforce the speed limit unless we do warrants based upon the average speed in such areas, so that's why we need one.
Thank you.
Steve, is there anyone who is present or wrote in from the public that would like to comment on this item?
No, Mayor.
Okay. Do I entertain any motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Let's vote.
Passes by a 5-0 vote. Thank you.
Our next item of new business is regarding parking modification on Lincoln Street and Center Drive. Staff, please give the staff report.
Thank you. This item is actually a ratification of actions that we took because school started the 19th, I think, of August. But basically, it started back last spring when we had a number of parents come and say they were concerned about the coloring of curbs and the fact that the sheriff was enforcing and giving tickets at that area down by Villa Park Elementary. So at that time, our traffic engineer met with the past principal, came up with a set of plans, and then the new principal came in, and Councilwoman Jones and the engineer myself, we met with them and came up with a plan that had the concurrence of the school district, the school, and ourselves from a traffic safety perspective, which basically helps us afford less congestion on drop-off and more safety for the kids, not running across parking lots and things like that unattended, and allows for a more safe environment of pickup or whatever as far as buses, et cetera, on the sides. So we went ahead because school started, and it would have been very difficult, one, logistically to paint this when the school's in session, people are parking and coming and going, because it took pretty much a day or so or a day or two to get it all done. And secondly, we didn't want parents to do one thing one day and come back next week and we have different colored curbs, and it would be very awkward. So the school has publicized it as well, but I'll let Councilwoman Jones, and she was involved because she was way back when they originally did some of this stuff, so she can detail the reasoning, what we changed. But the design primarily was to expedite movement along Center, to allow for pickup and then without blocking people, trying to minimize the number of people that would be blocking, like double parking, I guess, if you will, et cetera. So that's kind of what we did, and I'll let the councilwoman go into it.
Yes, so, and my perspective was informed by both Villa Park Elementary staff and parents regarding the drop-off pickup situation there as part of kind of my city school responsibilities here on council. And one area where we did kind of diverge from our traffic engineer was the little, I kind of call it the island between the two driveways on Center. They had designated that as a drop-off pickup area. However, parents and staff did not want that drop-off pickup, because then what you have is you have parents pulling in to pick up their children and the child running across the parking lot, which doesn't make sense. And so we changed that to parking, because generally if the parent parks there and walks up, then they are escorting their child back to the vehicle. So these were the sort of changes that we brought forward. So, but yeah, we are right on the same page now with the new principal, so we included her perspective. We had the perspective from the former principal as well. So yeah, this is the culmination of all of those discussions.
So again, we apologize for doing retroactively, but I think we wanted to get, start the students the parents on good habits on the first day of school, and avoid the logistical issue of painting and
the new principal threw us
new
off.
principal was there. And I think it worked out to the best to have it all done. So this action, again, is a ratification of actions we've already taken. So you probably saw Sergio and Josh out there last week repainting and sandblasting and doing all the things they're supposed to. Signage will go up with the approval tonight. They're requesting special signs that we put up to alert the parents. So that will go up once the action's taken.
What will the sign say?
It's restricted parking during school hours, I think.
Yeah, and the green zone, per the school, will be 10-minute parking. Because there is a range for a green zone, so per the school's request, that will be 10-minute parking.
And then there's signs along Lincoln that will say that the buses can park, no parking with the exception of buses.
Bus exempt.
Bus is exempt or whatever, I think it says.
How did it go? So have you had any feedback from the parents that, I actually, it's funny because I remember I drove by and I was like, wow, those cars are parked there. So that explains why. Yeah. And I think it's great. But did you have any parents that were like, what's going on? Or is everyone kind of on board?
Everyone's kind of on board. The principal really publicized it. It went out through the Home and School League. So before school even started, people
were aware.
To expect.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
So, and they did get a couple extra staff members out there as well. Because again, kind of forming those good habits, like we talked about with the sheriff. If you can get people, in the first week and a half, 2 weeks to get in a habit, they'll stick with that all year. So yeah, the publication of all of this, I think, really helped.
And it works well with the timing, because I know that we had changed that timing of Center and Villa Park Road a while back. So that works out perfectly with the timing of the light.
Yes. It's good. I mean, obviously, you're going to have times where it backs up. I mean, I don't think we'll get away from that, but it seems to be doing as well as
that's
can be
great.
Expected.
Good to hear.
Any other question?
Yeah, kind of related. Where are we with the dirt hauling on Villa Park Road?
The dirt hauling, you'll notice that we started at the expense of the hauler. They started the crossing guard on Center with the start of school on the 19th. So we've had that. The hauling has been intermittently started, been pre-approved by LEA, has approved DR Horton to continue and resume. So they contacted us and told it probably officially really start heavily on September 1st, but they've agreed to pay, started, August 19th at our request. So they've actually confirmed, and there has been somebody out there, and it will be, the crossing guard will be there through the duration, if that's 6 months, 3 months, whatever, that's the deal. And they've agreed to it. Now, the hauling will actually start, and they're saying, I believe it's 3 months that's going on. So that's going to happen. The couple of other things that are related, there is the stables out there, the Orange has approved and is working. There's 30 homes that are going into that. So there'll be a project there, and we've talked to them when they get to the point where, I've talked to city manager over in Orange on multiple occasions about letting us know ahead of time. And he will be talking about that, because that'll be another issue. And then lastly, the Santiago, the old landfill there, the city council took action, I want to say this morning, or whenever this evening, they'll be taking action to transfer ownership, because the first step in transferring. So Milan, who owned the property and got the entitlements, it's very typical, but you get the entitlements and then they sell it. So they'll be making a transition to a new owner. It will not change any of the conditions or anything like that, or the plans for it. But that will involve the conversion of that into open space, but there's a lot of dirt that has to be addressed there. So that is a whole nother project, and that a long way from going on. But just that's on the radar now. That means the new developer will come in and want to start moving forward at some point, but that's probably in the range of 3 to 5 years before that really gets moving and plans get approved, et cetera. So there's 3 projects that are really going on. And then there's a 4th one way out in East Orange. There'll be another whole development project that Orange is working on, but that's even further down. And I want to say that's over 1,000 homes at some point. Maybe I'm probably wrong on that number, because it fluctuates based on what Orange will be doing it. But in essence, I think based on our previous efforts, the City of Orange is very well aware of our concerns, because we do not want all the traffic coming through Villa Park. I want to be able to negotiate, especially as you move further out. I want to be able to say that a large portion of traffic doesn't come through Villa Park Road. And, you got Jamboree, and you've got the toll road that they can be using. So we're hoping that, we have that. And as far as D.R. Horton, I will have to say they've been a very willing partner as far as once we got in line and signed the agreement. They've actually fronted the check for the crossing guard for 3 months' worth advance. So we're good. And they give us a $650,000 bond for potential road improvements that may be necessary as a result. So we are, we're well on the way of moving forward, but there will be some impact. And you're going to notice those trucks are big, and there's going to be a lot of them. So I just would caution people driving. I know the sheriff will be watching it for enforcement because there's conditions about heavy hauling on what happens and covering the back and all that kind of stuff. So I know that's written in agreement. I know Orange PD is also cognizant of it because as of Wanda and to the freeway, they'll be watching it. So I think there's a lot going on. So this is the first element of a project, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Okay, I have one question regarding the curb that's painted white. I understand it's only just drop off. But outside of the pick up and drop off, the student time frame, can parents park there?
That's the thing. During school, this is all during school hours, so it would open it up during off-school hours. That's what the signage is. The signage is kind of unique there because you got 10-minute green areas and you got certain things that aren't just common. You know, they're getting the signage. So we didn't want to go ahead and put in the order for that until the council agreed to do that. So we'll work on getting the signage, and the school district's very anxious, but I think they were going to put out, she was talking about putting placards out in the interim, little A-frames.
Yeah, A-frame signs.
That she would put out there. So they're being very proactive in the school, and this is a new principal, and she's very interested in communicating with her parents about this and making this not a non-issue for her parents.
Great. I just would like to share. Yesterday, I met with the new principal for the time capsule, but she shared with me so far the drop off and pickup has been very smooth. Okay. So just want to answer your question. All right, Steve, is there anyone who is present or wrote in from the public that would like to comment on this item?
No, Mayor.
Okay, that's the case. Can I entertain any motion?
I'll move it.
Right. Let's vote.
Passes by a 5-0 vote. Thank you.
Okay, our next item of new business is the amendment to MV5 engineering agreement for PRA responses. Staff, please give staff report.
My residence is adjacent to the property.
Okay, please, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. As you recall, earlier this year, we because of the volume of Public Records Acts we received relative to the development on Mesa Drive, what we did was we contracted with, got a subcontract with NV5 to get an assistant to help our city engineer, a lower cost assistance, if you will, to help pull documents, and that's continued. Up to this point, we have a total of 13,900 that was billed on the original, about 90, which it translates out to about 95 hours. I'm sorry, 11,500, not 13,000. 11,500 has been billed, which is about 114 hours. They're pulling, and there have been continued requests for public records. So we have to, one, continue to pay, and we believe we're moving forward, and we would add another 10,000 to it, so bring us a cumulative total of $20,000 to address our PRA requests. I have not included it, but for the purposes of our tabulations, we have approximately 70 public records requests on this specific project. So we would ask for another $10,000. And there is money in the budget that would accommodate that. So I'm available to answer, and we are paying $100 an hour for the technician to go through the documents and pull those things up. And we're working as well with our city attorney because all those documents have to be redacted, et cetera. So we're working through. We recommend approval.
Okay, council member, do you have any question of staff? Go ahead.
I assume all the PRAs are coming from one source?
Yes.
And how do we get out of this? What are the different scenarios, and maybe Todd's the person to answer? Is there a council action? Is there a litigation that needs to happen? What's the end game? How do we get out of this ongoing circus of PRAs?
Well, the usual cycle / process has been PRA. Look, they're doing this illegal, and the response 99% of the time being no, it's legal, and that has been the cycle that has repeated. If I am a bit hesitant to suggest someone sue us for resolution, that would be a final determination, even though technically the Court of Appeal would be a final determination. As we've discussed previously, people are entitled to do PRAs. There is a threshold in the case law where it becomes oppressive and burdensome, but honestly, this is not at that level, given PRAs I've been involved in and am currently involved in, involving hundreds of thousands of documents over broad categories. There's one big law firm that is attempting to sue cities over ADA compliance that has, 82 categories of different things and thousands of documents. Thankfully, Villa Park's under 50 people, so a lot of it doesn't apply to us. But as far as resolution, right, I'm a believer in honey rather than vinegar, and people meeting together to try and resolve differences. Whether that bridge has already been crossed and people's souls have hardened to a certain degree where that's impossible, I will let others judge, but that's where I've tried to resolve things in the past.
And has staff and yourself sat down with the person who's giving the PRAs and hashed this out and discussed it and tried to come to a resolution?
I have not.
And if not, will you?
I certainly will do whatever I can to effectuate that. I have not. I think Steve has had multiple, is that fair? Conversations in general about the process being followed and to see what can be done, but I'll let you speak to that a little bit.
I think from my perspective, we're making sure two things are being done. One, that the content is being provided that's requested in a legally appropriate manner so that we are providing everything as legally required. And secondly, that anything that is brought to our attention where there is questionable, we're bringing it to Todd's attention to say, is there something that needs to be addressed or whatever? And we're working on that. Now, have we had discussions? There have been discussions, not with myself and the person requesting. I know that person has had, from the get-go, way back in time, there were hours spent on the phone with, basically started planning. If you remember, Justin was on the phone considerable amount of time. But as far as specifically the engineer, it would be our belief that an engineer needs to sit down with our engineer, and that's up to the parties involved to sort of bring that, because they're very much engineering specific questions. These are not questions that a layperson can specifically address or want. I think that should happen, that somebody has that sort of technical expertise to know what they're talking about. So I have not had the discussion specifically. I have recommended that be the case, the engineer. But again, that's an option of the party requesting. So I have not had the specific conversation, but I know the engineers have talked. The engineer has talked at a point. I don't know if that's continued, but there was a discussion at points.
Could we have the city manager, yourself, and our mayor and our city attorney sit down with the parties involved and try to hash something out?
The issue fundamentally is going to involve a legal question. And I do not think I'm prepared to deal with the legalities of that, and Todd has had that. And you had received an email today where she indicated that it centers on one issue, and that issue has been addressed in our belief by our city attorney. And I don't believe I have the legal background to sort of argue that, and I don't think that would be an appropriate venue. I guess if there is a question technically about it, but it involves a legal, technical, engineering questions, I think is where it boils down to. So bringing those parties, I can obviously help bring them together or suggest that we bring them together. We can't compel anyone to meet with them. That's not something that happens. I think that from my perspective, we need to make sure that we are doing two things, as I started with, providing all the information requested and making sure that content of the thing is appropriate, and anything that's brought that is questioned legally, we bring to the attention of the city attorney, and we discuss that if there's something that needs to be addressed or whatever. So I think that's where I'm coming from, and that's, do not have an engineering background, nor do I have a legal background. So I'm sort of.
Well, certainly we have to continue responding to the PRAs, that's no doubt. But I like Todd's idea of let's start with Honey first, and can we sit down and say, can we hash this out? And if not, if we're at an impasse, then sue us, and let's move on.
Well, I think, and I'm going to be very, very candid and at risk, I think there has been some accusations thrown towards staff. And I think there is some, it's hard for, I don't think there's going to be a genuinely unbiased conversation on both parties. I just would think that would be a very difficult portion. Like, in other words, that water is already past the dam.
So maybe we get a council person and Todd.
Again, I think you really need to be careful here, because this is a legal question about, and I think that it's not going to be a thing where we can get a party to agree of a legal point that she has raised again today. So this is not something that is, it's very obvious what her concern is, or the party's concern is. And I think there is a legal disagreement. So very candidly, I don't see that as while we can facilitate a meeting, City Hall's open, the suggestion's there, the active participation of a city councilman is not going to change the outcome, in my belief, nor the active participation myself will change that. So I just offer that as a very candid assessment, because it has become very personal, probably on both sides.
But to the councilman's point, yeah, I'll meet with anybody. I mean, if we think, if me and you or me and Jordan and whoever, that's fine. And I love everybody, right? Even though the end of that sentence is, I also hate everybody, so I'm the perfect neutral arbitrator, right? So, I mean, what do you think, Rob? I mean,
well, I mean, if we're, if the honey's not going to work, then someone's just got to
call the question.
Yeah.
So, this is just a never-ending thing that needs to come to an end.
So I have I was working for the county at the time the El Toro Airport was suggested and recommended, and that went on for several years of back and forth. And Todd probably remembers a lot of that.
I had to work on it.
Yeah, and that was hundreds and thousands of PRA requests and things like that, and it ultimately boiled down to a political decision where a different person took office in the county. One of the parties backed off, basically. I mean, that's the end of it. And it didn't turn into a legal, although there were legal issues back and forth flying, it turned into, the direction was changed politically, correct? I think that was, and so the direction was changed on that. So I want to say that this is, while it's big for us, it's not big in comparison to a lot of projects that go on out there, candidly.
So you have to sort of, in these types of situations, because people are going to be hardened in positions, legal or otherwise, right? You just have to set the goal point of, do we want to try to resolve it or not, right? And, setting aside whatever the law is, okay, where is a point along that spectrum that, both sides are okay, right? So maybe that conversation's never been had because everybody's section point 8543, I just made those numbers up, says this for permitting inspection, whatever. So yeah, if people think that would work, I can talk to Kelly, I can talk to everybody and do that. Even though, the odds are, as the city manager said, at this point in time, maybe not.
Well, I appreciate the effort, and it's got to be stressful for everybody involved. It'd be nice to get it resolved.
Fair enough.
Councilmember Miles?
Thought you'd never ask. Okay, so I'll try and make this short and succinct. This is, in my opinion, absolutely ridiculous. It needs to come to an end. Not the part of asking for PRAs. I absolutely respect that we have a legal obligation to do so, and they have a right to request the PRAs. 100% would never ever suggest otherwise. And as far as a honey situation versus vinegar, my problem with all of this is that the individual, Catherine McBride, since it is a public,
No, it's fine.
available, knowledge, not only has, in her public comments here, both back in April and then also with what we received today, there are some very strong allegations that our city engineer is incompetent, is purposely favoring developers. There's some really strong accusations there, which is absolutely unacceptable. And to me, they have met. And I know I've had a personal conversation with our city engineer. She has tried to speak with them and demonstrate. There's PRAs that we have examples of where there's a accusation that it's not being provided when it's not that it's not being provided, it's not available. So I have been asking for a meeting. I don't know if I did it the right way. I hope there's a meeting, but it's also to the point where we have to kind of go, enough is enough. For me, I can't speak for everyone else, the continued public accusations, not just here, in the public comments, out in the general public, against a specific staff member, which is our city engineer, meeting after meeting, without the concerns ever going towards a formal review. So what I want to bring up to this is, if a member of the public or a council member genuinely believes there's been a staff misconduct, which is what the individual who's doing all the PRAs is not only alleging, but accusing, both verbally and in her comment today via email, that there has to be a proper channel for that. Because coming here and publicly disparaging a city staff member is absolutely unacceptable. It's not the appropriate place for it, and if there's concerns, they need to be actually addressed appropriately. It's not appropriate to repeatedly characterize an employee's integrity or accuse them of favoritism, which she has done several times. I went back and listened to the meeting in April, and I'm going to read it. She said, quote, "These requests being generated are a direct result of the city engineer's failure to protect private property rights by unilaterally gifting to private developers, Carver and Treedone, the right to truly drain on multiple properties without permission or easements." That's never been established. And we have not made any comment back that that is not true. So I am really kind of resentful that we have not done a better job to protect our staff from accusations and allegations that she has no foundation for, other than she doesn't like the results of whatever the PRAs are suggesting. So what I'd like to ask now is if city attorney and city manager to confirm what our formal complaint process actually is. If she's not happy, she's done all the PRAs on the Treedone property, and now she's directing the PRAs over to the Carver property. So we're just shifting it, and shifting it's going to cost more money. So maybe that's the first step, is let her know that if she has a formal complaint process. What is it? Let's let her know what it is, make sure it's clearly available and known to the public, and to look at whether we need a clear public comment decorum policy going forward, so that our staff know that they have this council support and the residents know that the right venue for these allegations and concerns, instead of raising them from the podium without staff able to respond or defend. So I know we can't vote on that right now, but maybe that's something that the council can direct staff later if we don't have one. We absolutely have to, spend the money to do this. Otherwise, we save money on an election, but now we're spending it all on this. So it just seems to the point where, as you mentioned, I'm not up for anyone suing the city either, but there has to be a point in time where enough is enough. Like this is enough. She need, you know.
So, Mayor,
Sorry.
if I may address that. So, people are allowed to criticize public officials, right? I could regale you with stories of what people have said about me, only some of which was true. We cannot limit that, and if it's said at the podium in a city council meeting under Civil Code Section 51 whatever, it's called privileged speech. If you say it outside of that and it's untrue and it's intentionally harmful, then it's defamation. So I will let people draw their own distinguishing characteristics about that. For example, see an Adelanto council meeting I was at last week where we were talking about data centers, and that's apparently a big issue now. And it was horrible. The aspersions people were saying against city staff, the verbiage that was used, and people under the First Amendment are allowed to say that. So, 2 points in response. As far as if people have concerns about staff people's actions, the reviewing person for city staff is the city manager. So you go to the city manager and you say, I have this concern about staff, because he would be the one in connection with the city attorney to the extent there are legal issues involved. And that process, I'm not going to go into substance, has occurred. Right? There have been responses from the city engineer in response to the legal issues that have been raised. They have not been from the dais, so they don't occur at city council meetings, but there have been those written correspondence in response disputing all of the legal points that have been brought up against the city engineer. So that is the process. So
I would add, too, that complaints have been filed by the person requesting the PRAs with the Water Quality Board and with the state contractors, the board that, I don't know what their official title is, but that basically licenses the city engineer. So she's received contact from them indicating that there is a complaint filed against her and the engineers of the project themselves on the private party of the applicant, so of the developers. So our city engineer has been dealing with a process that takes very long. Apparently, they've been told it takes a long time. But basically, it would affect her license.
Absolutely.
And so that has been filed. So there is a process there, and that has been exercised on the part of the person requesting that. So, and furthermore, the Water Quality Board has also been apprised and contacted the city. We do not have any resolution at this point. They've asked for information, which we've provided to them. And the city engineer has provided information to them. And I believe that the engineering firm has also that involved with the applicant has provided information to the state. We are not privy to their deliberations, so I can't tell you where it stands. But like I say, like Todd mentioned, there have been responses to the legal questions raised, and those have been discussed. So that's where we are.
Okay, so 2 points. One, I totally understand, appreciate, and support somebody's ability to come here and criticize any one of us at any time. Absolutely, freedom of speech, love it, can't live without it. There's a difference, though. There are specific allegations of favor to, this is not just her saying, I don't like her, or I don't think she's smart. This is specific verbal accusations of inappropriate favoritism and ethics, and the way that she, in the manner in which she approves or looks at any of the permits or inspections or whatnot. So there has to be a line somewhere between, yelling fire in a crowded theater and just saying, I don't like her, I don't think she's doing a good job. That's one. The second part is, from any of the state and water boards, whatever, have we heard anything back like, yeah, she's not doing a good job?
No, they've indicated it will be an extremely long process.
Okay.
And they've asked her for her comment. They know they've offered her information. She has done that privately because it's her licensure that's an issue there. And I know that she indicated that the engineer for the applicant, the firm, was contacted, and they've responded to the state as well. But they were all told, because I asked the question, have you heard anything? And same thing you did. And she's indicated, they said it would take some time.
When you say that, you're saying MV5?
No. Toll Engineering, who
Oh,
is
Toll,
the
okay.
applicant, the
Oh, for
applicant's
the
engineering
property.
firm. Because there was the allegation of preferential treatment or
Right.
potential collusion or whatever that may be. I haven't seen the actual complaint that was filed with the state. However, she did receive communication as a licensee.
Okay, and then last question, do we have any, if you go, is there a way, like, you know how you have, and I don't know, I'm not an engineer or city engineer or traffic engineer or any of that, but is there a way to go and find a rating? Like, do they have ratings, or do they have a place, kind of like with lawyers, you can go ahead and like do complaints or whatever? Does she have any old active complaints or anything against her?
Not that we're aware of.
Right, okay, and how long has she been an engineer? 30 years, right?
I can't say with anything. I know she retired from the county after probably close to 30 years, so I can't answer
She
that.
has an impeccable record. So I would just like, Todd, the difference between coming up here and saying that you're unhappy with the results versus making claims that there were no permits, she approved stuff out of favoritism, that has to be a distinction.
So in response to your, is there a process of review? I believe the state is in the process of review, the Water Quality Board, I don't know if they're state or regional, I don't know what their official title is, but.
Regional.
Regional Water Quality Board, and I believe Todd has spent a considerable amount of time talking the issue through with Marus on the legality of it, which I believe would be the appropriate review from our perspective. So those are the avenues that it's going down from a review process, formal review process at this time. So I would say from there. So is there any conclusion at this point? I don't believe it is altered, at least the review that Todd has had, or discussions I've had with him, he has not indicated there's anything that he has encountered that he would disagree with from her actions. Am I correct, Todd?
If I can ask staff, with all this accusations or defamation on our city engineer, has MV5 asked one of their other engineer taking a look at the current situation of the PRA or accusation to confirm our current engineer has done everything possible with her knowledge and experience, everything that she has been doing is correct?
Yes, it's my understanding that she has had that discussion with her firm.
Okay, so I'm very.
I can't vouch for the content of the actual, because I wasn't party to it, but I did know that she walked it through the engineers that she works with.
Okay, so that is quite important in the sense of that, to me, that is a second person opinion. And I believe I just heard it also, that we have asked the applicant to hire their own engineer to double check. So far, that has not happened yet. And they have used our limited resource of, at this moment, $25,000. That is, yes, as Councilwoman Mile had mentioned, we saved the money from not having election this year, but what we had spent here is already way beyond what we saved. And now we are doing another $10,000 for a short amount of time. I mean, last time we met was in April. Within 4 months, we actually spent $10,000.
Don't forget the $7,800 from January through March.
Correct. And on top of that, thank you for bringing that up. On top of that, all this finance that we as a city already spent, this is all in 2026. In reality, our city staff has already spent on this particular applicant for the PRA since last year, and there's a possibility even beyond that. Our engineer has not tracked, our city has not tracked all the time that they have spent. And also, I would like to mention this budget, $25,000 already spent, does not include our current staff as city manager and other various city staff and attorneys' time. All that, I understand, is all in the contract. However, that is the time and finance that our city staff has spent on. So it's, Attorney Todd, I understand we are not in that ridiculous time or whatever, compared to other city. In my honest opinion, it is ridiculous now. If we add everything together, we only have full-time employee for our city 7. I would imagine out of 7, there's a possibility 4 out of 7 all have hands on the PRA, on top of Todd. And all that time is not calculated, what he had to spend on. I understand and I agree, we absolutely had to approve another $10,000. I'm just curious for what? That our budget is already so small, we had to really watch out for the money that we spend publicly. I can also maybe say it this way, $25,000 that we spent is one street of improvement. $25,000 that we spent could be one camera on the street. $25,000 that we spent could have another officer. To me, we could spend money somewhere else that the entire city benefits than PRA for just for a resident feel our city engineer is not doing her job. And I don't believe that's the case. I truly believe that she has done her job. And I thank you for Todd for differentiate the difference of First Amendment at this microphone versus defamation outside of this room. And earlier I heard Council Mile had mentioned the applicant or even the spouse have mentioned false accusation outside of this door. How can we prove that? I think we need to call more people into it. But however, I agree with her. We should not have this kind of dilemma that we're dealing with for our city staff. And it's not fun to be on the receiving end, but I believe all 5 of us, when we ran for the campaign, we knew that. But as a city staff, that's unethical and it's just wrong. However, I think we discussed enough unless any other council member would like to have more discussion or more comments.
Move to approve.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, let's vote.
Oh, it's got to click, yeah, got to click it. So there's 1 abstention and passes by a 4-0 vote. So if I could offer just as a closing, as a city manager, luckily I don't have to deal with a lot of the policy. I just deal with the implementation. I always like to break things down into what can be done and what can we do. What can I do? What can, be done? This has 2 elements. One, you just took action on to approve the 10,000. That's something we can do and had to do, and I believe that's something that's very appropriate and responsible on the part of the council. The second issue goes to what Mayor Pro Tem Freckleton brought up, is what's the end game? Where does it get to? That one, I'm having a much more difficult time coming to resolution, and I believe that staff, if we could have come to a resolution, we would have. This is not something that we done. It has affected not only the daily operations, but it has affected morale, quite candidly, of all staff, because we're all involved. And I'm sure it has affected the person requesting party on their side. So I don't want to discount their concerns and their things. So how do we bridge that gap? I think this may unfortunately end up in a very negative conclusion for one side or the other. And if there's something feasible that could have been done, I think people would have reached out and tried to do it at this point. I think we're all reasonable on both sides of the party, so I'm not trying to point fingers in either direction, but I don't think anybody would want this to go on forever. I give credit to both parties. So I just want you to kind of do what's manageable from our side. We're continuing to do the manageable part. The other part of it may end up being something that we all don't want to deal with and may have to deal with it in another thing, but that's not a decision I can make. So as I tell my kids, you can deal with what you can deal with, and we cannot deal with what we can't deal with, because this has another party who has another intent, and it has to address it. I think that has to be generated in essence from that. So I would offer that. Thank you for at least taking the action that we can control. The other action, we will continue to comply with the law. And I would also offer that it is my belief that we have a very dedicated staff, all 7 permanent and all contract work, very dedicated to do their very best. And no one here is trying to cut corners. And no one that I understand is trying to do anything that would jeopardize or provide preferential treatment. Although, obviously, you deal with people, and some people are happy with what you do, and you feel like, oh, I helped them, but other people aren't happy, and you feel like, well, it is what it is. And this is going to be one of those situations where I think no one's going to walk away feeling good. Some may walk away feeling really, really bad, and I want to minimize that impact. And that's, if anything I can control, is to try and minimize the impact. So it is, and I'll be very candid, it has affected morale among all staff. And it is unfortunate, but it's our reality. We all knew that, like you accepted, like the mayor said, we accepted that. So I don't mean to be on a soapbox here, but I also want it to be clear. If there were a way that I think that we could have, we're they're highly educated people in our staff, and they're highly educated on the other side. I think, and they're all motivated to try and resolve it. So I think if there was a resolution that could have been relatively easily done with less pain, I think we would have all got to that point already, quite candidly. So I'm kind of come to the conclusion myself that it's going to be painful at some point. So I guess I just want to leave you with that thought and keep expectations at that point. So that's my perspective, and for my 45 years in dealing with government, that's unfortunately sometimes things end that way. So I just want to sort of put the bar at a level where we can deal with. So.
Absolutely, I really appreciate you mentioned all that, and I agree with you 100%. And I can only speak for myself. I think when we discussed this previous agenda item, it was all speaking on the professional level, and it has not towards any person attacking, any person at all. I think at least to me, I'm speaking more just on the issue, and it's not towards any ill will towards either the applicant or the spouse and our engineer. I'm more just looking at how can we resolve this. So anyhow, I do want to, if I could, cut a break, just that our wonderful Boy Scouts to know, if you guys would like to go home, it is 8:30. I don't want to drag you out here. I understand it's only the first week, so you may not have a lot of homework. I would imagine you'd rather be at home and rot, as my daughter would say, rotting, over the smartphone. You certainly can. But however, I think you need to call your parents to come and pick you guys up. I don't want you to walk home in the dark. So feel free to go leave as you please. I thank you so much for being here and stuck with us this long for 2 hours. Thank you.
We only got one more thing.
I know, but it's 8:30.
There's no homework.
Yeah, it's school night.
They're still awake, so that's a win.
Yes.
And they're not on their phones.
I
so-
know. Yeah.
Have a good night, guys.
Thank you. Actually, in fact, many of them don't have a phone, and I actually saw one of the scout has a flip phone. I love that. Anyhow, I'll wait for our council member to come back and begin the next item. All right, our last item of new business is the award of contract for council chambers AV camera upgrades. Staff, please give the staff report.
Thank you. This is a real positive. I think, as you're well aware, we receive money, PEG money, which is basically for Cablevision, et cetera. They have to pay us to have access to our utilities, et cetera. So they give us a money each year, probably a range of $10,000 to $15,000. We collect that and we do things. So during COVID, we put in the screens here. We did a new sound system and we did all this stuff so we can do Zoom meetings. Well, one of the things we did not do at the time because of a cost was replace the cameras that were installed probably in the Ken Domer era for those who were around. And those cameras still exist, and they're little, you know, the pixels are not, I mean, it's not real crisp and clear. So we've now saved, we have approximately $75,000 that we put in the budget of that money that's not general fund. We've saved up our account, and we put out to bid, and for a new set of cameras. I think there are 4 cameras, and I still can't figure out where the 4th one is. So if you guys know where it is, let me know. So I just want to keep you all on edge. But anyway, there are apparently 4 cameras that I didn't know the 4th one is. So that's sort of the trivia. If you can find it, you win a pin from Villa Park. I don't know. Anyway, so long story short, the bids came in. It is a installation as well, so it's a low bid. Vidiflow LLC, we did a bid process, 4 firms bid, $55,519. So that would be well under the amount we have budgeted, and we will have those installed. We'll let the contract immediately after, but it is a public works project, so we had to go low bid with the installation, and that would require, but I believe it'll be a much higher quality visibility and improve the streaming, and it'll improve the et cetera. Correspondingly, just kind of which unique timing is, because ATT is canceling their old government contract process, we have, next year in 2027, we have to get rid of our old phones. So in doing that, they will not replace their old phones. They are putting fiber optic in. So actually, as it turns out, it will be less expensive for us to move to a fiber optic system than we had right now. So because the sheriff and the library have been years ahead of us, they have fiber optic already. So we are going to very much, with the new cameras and the fiber optic, improve our streaming capabilities, et cetera. But tonight is just the first step in getting the contract for the cameras, and very happy to be able to move forward. And for the really even happier, there's no general fund money at all being expended. So that's kind of a real plus. So we'd recommend approval.
Okay, council members, do you have any question of staff?
I have one question. So I know that part of the new state law, we have to allow Zoom or whatever you want to call it, virtual attendance. This should also help with that
We're
process?
already doing that. In fact, you were on it last month.
Right. But I mean,
So-
this should make this even better for.
Well, the clarity in pictures that you picked up on your computer will be a better picture. That's what this will do. And the fiber optic will improve the streaming capability. I'm not a techie that knows exactly but it will improve the speed and et cetera. So, if you get on, just a hint, if you're going on and you're in the city hall, get on the library's guest internet, because it's better than ours. But ours will be up to speed with this. So we're making big strides, and we'll be very teched out pretty quick.
And the camera will make you look better.
Mayor, I, for one, appreciate less pixels, but that's a different issue. Do you all remember, I know Robert was around, obviously. I mean, we used to have high school kids that would stand on chairs with big cameras, and I sat there or there back, and I lived in fear because I thought one of those kids was going to topple on me. So we've come a long way. But in seriousness, to Steve's points, PEG money, right? It's basically money we get from cable TV people and certain things. And now as everybody goes streaming and internet, that's all going away. So, I mean, our PEG money funds will slowly be diminishing as technology advances, FYI.
Thank you for that information. Steve, is there anyone who is present or wrote in from the public that would like to comment on this item?
No.
Okay, then the council, can I hear any motion?
So moved.
Can I hear a second? Second. Let's vote.
I'm pushing it.
There we go. Passes by a 5-0 vote. Thank you.
All right, now we will discuss the city manager's report.
So, real quickly, it's a monthly report, and we continue to move through things. We're starting to, the agendas, as you know, get a little more complicated, whatever. Given everything's so serious today, I just wanted to pass along a really positive thing. As you know, my son went away to college, and today he called me and said, "Bad news, I got my bike stolen." Well, that's not a bad thing, because he just texted me. 2 of his teammates found his bike. Somebody was riding it, and the guy surrendered it to him, and so my son got his bike back. So there is a positive, and there are good people in the world that will look out for each other. So the power of teammates and the power of friends. And so my son was ecstatic, and I think, boy, it makes you feel a little better about the world. And it's a water polo player, two guys who are 6'3", approached this guy and got it back. Got it back. Anyway, so so there are good things that continue to happen. I just wanted to lighten the mood a little bit and tell you good things are happening. And my son is on cloud 9 right now and loves his teammates. Everything else in the city is going very well, by the way.
That's awesome to hear, and that's why I always like to stand right next to Robert. I feel very protected. All right, now it's time for council members' meeting attendance reports, starting with law enforcement advisory.
No meeting.
Okay. Villa Park Community Services Foundation.
I'm happy to say National Night Out was well attended, really well attended, as Mary Cecile mentioned earlier, and it was a great event. And then tomorrow night we meet here at 5:30, so come on by for the foundation meeting if you want to be a part of it. And then the upcoming event is Halloween Fest, which is Jordan and Shamim Wu's signature event. Is there anything you want to share about that?
No, just this year will be different date. It will be on Friday, October 30th, from 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock.
Perfect. Looking forward to it. That's it.
Thank you so much. The next person will be OUSD.
No meeting, although we did virtually give input on a very comprehensive district planning document that we will be discussing at the next meeting.
Next up will be Bridges at Kramer Place Advisory.
No meeting.
Next up will be OCFA.
No board meeting, but 2 committee meetings. I'm on the HR committee, which met on August 4th, and it was mostly about the great mental health aspects that OCFA offers their people. Back in Chief Kuzma's younger days, it was suck it up, buttercup, and don't talk about it. And now it's a little more, I don't know, certainly the new generation friendly, and let's get it out there and not have a heart attack when we're 58 because we're keeping that inside. Our other meeting was the operations meeting on August 11th. It was held out at Fullerton Airport where our air operations are, and the operations committee, the biggest agenda item was decided there was a need to replace our 2 Type 2 medium-sized helicopters, which are the Bells, which are now 20 years oldish and have actually outlived their warranty. And so we're going through an RFP to look at doing that. That's it.
All right, next up would be County Library Advisory Board.
No meeting.
Okay. Next, Friends of Villa Park Library.
As our new librarian, Megan, said, that things are really rolling along now, and she's so excited about having their new fall program. And the only thing I have to add to what she added was that they looks like they've got 2 authors coming in for the fundraiser. And so Jack Cleary's working hard on that, and it'd be exciting to hear them speak.
Next up would be mosquito and vector control.
So what happens with mosquito and vector control is that they have various traps all around the county that they trap mosquitoes and then measure how many mosquitoes are actually positive for the West Nile virus inside them. So what happens, birds get the sickness, mosquitoes bite the birds, and then the mosquitoes carry the virus. And unfortunately, we've seen a very high incidence of positives within the mosquito population. Currently, the actual disease in humans is lagging behind that, but that's typical. And so they evaluate a number of environmental conditions, the abundance of the adult female culex, which is the ones that bite, the virus infection of those, and they have other aspects that they produce a value and a score of a epidemic condition probability. It's very high. Normal season might be 1 to 2.5. Emergency planning begins at 2.6 to 4.0, and we are currently at a 4.2, would push us in a likely epidemic of West Nile virus. So the good news for us is that we are considered block H29, and so far we've had only one positive mosquito. So that's the good news, is currently we are not on the high concern block. So that's it for mosquito and vector.
Thank you. Next up would be Orange County Older Adults Advisory Commission.
Thank you. I was unable to attend the meeting that did occur. However, would like to bring up an opportunity to let our older adults, and actually anybody, know about the recent scams that are going on. And the big one, and it's really very effective, is you'll get a text from your bank, and it'll say it's from Wells Fargo, Bank of America, whatever it might be, your bank might be, and it'll say that they've detected fraud, a certain dollar amount at some store that's very recognizable, like a Target or a Verizon or like a Walmart, and then to call the number. And so if at first you think, oh yeah, this is a scam, I'm not going to call it, and you just ignore it, they wait about an hour or so, and then they call you. And then they say, oh, we sent you a text. And then, of course, now you're like, oh, gosh, I guess that was real. And maybe I better go ahead and answer it. And so they say the exact same thing that's on the text. And so if you're someone that's not savvy, you're going to sit there, and the main thing they want to do is they can confirm the last 4 digits of your card, but they can't give the whole card. So they trick you into that. And what people need to understand is banks will not, they'll text you if they think that there's fraud, but they will not give you a phone number to call, and they will not call you. They will direct you to look at the number on the back of your card and ask you to call that number. So that's the big distinguishing thing, is that no matter how real it looks, they will never call you or give you the number to call. So and that's not just for seniors, but they're preying on seniors. So I actually had it happen to me today. So I played with them a little bit because I love to do that. And they got really frustrated and hung up because I told them, that's great, I'm going to go ahead and call my bank that you say you're from, and what branch are you at? And they got really frustrated. But just really be aware, if you have any questions, always call your bank. Don't give them any information, and make sure that everybody that you know knows they're not going to call you. They're going to tell you to call the number on the back of your card. That's it.
Thank you for that tip. The last one is OC Sanitation. They are continuing to work on the Taft sewer improvement project. Taft is complete. Now they're moving towards meat. So there's still delays on meat. So just everyone just be patient when you try to go to Target. From our side, obviously. Oh yeah, that's
Or
right.
Starbucks.
Trader Joe's, Starbucks.
Pumpkin spice is now back.
Just open. Yes. Or maybe Walmart too. All right, thank you. Now we will hear individual council member information items or announcements, starting with Council Member Miles.
Oh, thank you. Not a lot to say. Busy month, but like everyone else, either getting kids transferred into other colleges or starting college. The National Night Out was fantastic. Definitely thanks to, Sheriff's already left and everyone that organized and participated in that. Glad to see that so far, knock on wood, our beginning of school has gone smoothly. And it feels weird not to have a kid in high school. But I got 2 college kids, so that's been crazy. But anyways, that's it. That's really it. So I hope everyone, I know we won't see each other for Labor Day, so hopefully everybody has a great Labor Day.
Thank you, Council Member McBride.
Echoing the National Night Out, we had a terrific time, and the kids really enjoyed it, my grandkids. On the 11th, I zoomed in on the SCAG Regional Working Group. They're just getting organized with that, so that was more of a kind of a meet and greet thing. We had, on the 17th, I sat in on another Zoom for the Building committee of the Mosquito Vector Control District, and the plans are coming along nicely for the new building project that they'll be beginning. They're in phase 1 of design and working through that. On the 19th, I attended an elected officials long-range roundtable for long-range transportation plan. Mostly it was a profile of the new Safe Roads project, which is got a bunch of things that are developing mostly for the Olympics, so that we have tourists, et cetera, that can actually conduct themselves in Los Angeles safely. If you've driven on the freeways, I can appreciate that. I will also had the board meeting, but tomorrow I will be touring the Santa Ana streetcar. So it's an interesting thing. It kind of tags in with some of the homelessness things that we're working on from the SCAG Commission. And so that'll be interesting. That's tomorrow. So I'll give a report next time.
Thank you for that. Councilmember Jones?
Yes, so I attended the Housing Element Working Group that was put on by California Department of Housing and Community Development, HCD. It was a virtual meeting, and before it even started, I was disappointed that such an important topic was only given a 45-minute presentation with 0 questions allowed by the meeting participants, 65% of which were members of local government. However, actually the presentation was only 35 minutes since it started late and ended early. So even more disappointed by the end. The chat in the meeting was disabled, so there was no opportunity to present questions in that format either. And the presentation focused on the how HCD is conducting itself, such as needing to provide earlier notice of revisions during the review period and minimizing reviewer turnover, as opposed to addressing real concerns that cities have with implementation. So I just want the public to be aware, when HCD says that they gave presentations and asked for feedback, this is what we are given as city officials. So we were given no real input into the process. They say that they are having additional listening sessions, but I signed up almost a month ago and I have not heard anything as of yet. So just a very disappointing experience overall. On a better note, I was happy to attend a preview of the new OC Vibe in Anaheim as the guest of Assemblyman Philip Chen. The development is extensive and will provide a lot of really exciting new options for our residents when they go to Anaheim Stadium or out to the Honda Center. I was also happy to attend National Night Out, which was a great turnout, I think better than last year in my opinion. I also attended Mayor Wu's time capsule meeting, and it was great to see so many of our residents come over to contribute their items. As I said earlier, I attended the e-bike safety training at Villa Park High School. It was great to see such a high turnout there. I attended the OCTA Elected Officials Roundtable, and OCTA is beginning planning for 2041 when Measure M2 expires, and then even beyond that for year 2050 is what they're planning on. So when Measure M2 expires, several of our programs could be on the chopping block, such as our community-based transportation funding and senior transportation programs. So that's something that they are planning for and looking at now. And finally, I was very happy to attend our special meeting last week where the council agreed with Mayor Wu and I recusing ourselves to appoint myself, Jordan Wu, and Chad Zimmerman as your city council representatives for 2026 through 2030. And I really appreciate the support that I have received from the community, and I look forward to serving you in every way I can for the next 4 years. So thank you.
Great. Mayor Portem?
All right, July 29th to July 31st, I was happy to attend the Southern California Edison High Sierra trip with Mayor Jordan Wu, and it was fascinating. The history and the engineering is really great, and I think some other people might be going. I highly recommend it. It's the hardest working water in the world. They built 5, this is back in the early 20th century, they built 5 different lakes on the west side of the High Sierra Mountains, Sierra Nevada Mountains, Edison Lake, Shaver Lake, Huntington Lake, so forth. And that as the water drops from lake to lake, it's going through powerhouses, 6 different powerhouses, and it's creating electricity through hydropower. At the time, it was over 85% of LA's needs, or Southern California's needs, I should say, not just LA. Now it's about 10% of the needs because the population has exploded since the early 20th century. But it's still fairly self-sustaining and is a engineering marvel and absolutely fascinating. I also attended the August 8th time capsule event here, and Orange County Fire Authority, I sent it to you, a picture, is gonna made a special shield that they're gonna add to it, so that's kind of neat. It'll be here did it show up today? It's here, okay, great. And on August 13th, I attended the Southern California Edison Public Safety Power Shutoff Zoom, where the chat was on, and they actually made a presentation, and people got to ask questions and complain about power shutoff. And I'm happy to say from our trip that we took and from that meeting, the Iran circuit, which is the circuit that gets shut off here in Villa Park, they did already insulate it, and Scott, the engineer, shared with us that they're trying to do even more in addition to the mitigation of the wildland around it. So hopefully things are going to get better. Yeah. Oh, this is wood. Sorry, not plastic laminate, wood. So hopefully things get better. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. I won't repeat anything that you guys already attended. The only thing I would want to say is we are still collecting the time capsule items. We have collect good amount of history of Villa Park from various organizations. However, what we are missing is actual individual residents' messages or even prediction what would happen to Villa Park 50 years from now, or even your own picture of maybe in front of your home. Who knows how 50 years from now what it will look like. Right? I think we need to also try to capture picture of our city hall, because 50 years from now, maybe we are floating in the air. Who knows? So anyhow, I highly recommend the public, our residents, please participate by providing notes, photos, anything you would like. The committee will meet soon, and we will look through all the entry and make sure we will do whatever we can to preserve everything in the capsule. However, we also need to take consideration, is it appropriate, and also would it stay in there perfectly. So please bear with us on that front. In National Night Out, I do agree with Councilwoman Jones. It might be the biggest that I have attended. And I should have mentioned to the captain, that video that I have done with Esaulo Vasquez has been the most viewed so far because of National Night Out. Definitely not because of me, because of the National Night Out and check out all the equipment from OCFA and the Sheriff Department. So thank you, and thank you for everyone's report. Now we will adjourn until the next regular City Council meeting on September 22nd, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. Thank you for your participation this evening, and please stay cool. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.